What's up, guys? So I'm back at the Ayala Circuit Mall in Makati. It's like my favorite place this week. I don't have a tank top on today. I've got a shirt, so I came prepared. But I spoke with a different person today, and then I reiterated my story a different way. And I was able to actually get a duplicate receipt, the correct one from the first place, the smaller place at Ayala Circuit Mall. It was in and out of there in 10-15 minutes. Problem solved. Mind is blown because I didn't think it was going to be that easy. I actually offered to just pay the entire fee again a second time. It's like 2,800 pesos just to renew the visa again, just to get another receipt proving that my visa is valid until December 5th. But they were able to just print it out this time. The gentleman last time said I had to go to the other place, which I did, and it literally took me like 6 hours to get into it and to get out of it, and I still didn't give me the correct receipts. And I came back to this location today, and they gave me the correct receipt within 10 to 15 minutes. So I guess it just partly matters how you communicate, who you're talking to. And then at that point, it's just kind of luck of the draw. I said yesterday, you have to have like a flawless precision when it comes to attention to detail for like solving your own problems. But I think sometimes it really is just luck of the draw. And I think sometimes it's just who you talk with and the time of day and the situation. So it all worked out. So it was a happy ending after all. So happy to report that. What's up, guys? So I'm back rocking the black tank top. So I went to the BDO bank today. I brought everything I said I would need to bring in my last video, which was my passport, some cash, my ACR-I card. It's kind of a funny way to say that, and my utility bill. And what ended up happening is you need a residence visa, which you can only get if you marry a Filipina and you are the husband of a Filipina. And I'm not eligible for that because I'm unmarried. And then the other thing is, the other option is if you get a work visa, which I also don't have one of those either. So you might be thinking, like, why would you want to get a bank account anyway in the Philippines? Well, when you have a US passport and you have United States bank accounts, you're pretty much good on just about everything. But like, if you're trying to actually place orders through the app services like Grab and things like this, sometimes like the card just doesn't work. And it's just kind of annoying having to use cash all the time. And if you take out cash from your bank, depending on your United States bank, it can cost you a ton of money to withdraw that cash. But there's definitely lots of solutions and lots of workarounds, and I'm going to discuss those right now. Okay, so the main reason why a foreigner would actually want to open a local bank account here in the Philippines is literally for just one reason. Pretty much every single landlord wants you to basically pay them with post-dated checks, which is basically where you write out a bunch of checks for future dates to be cashed. That's why they're called post-dated. And I don't know why they subscribe to this belief or mentality that post-dated checks are the way to go, because there's way better and more secure and more efficient ways to actually handle money and transfer people money, basically. Checks don't really guarantee anything because it's very easy to move money from one checking account to another to make sure that that check doesn't go through. So they're not actually secure at all, but that's just how it's done here in the Philippines. So you got to respect that. So the main reason that's the main reason is just far easier to rent a place, because if you're just staying in Airbnbs here and you're not making a lot of money from an online job or an online business, you're going to go broke, because the Airbnbs in Philippines are not cheap, because you're basically paying 4 times more than you would need to pay to get half as much value with Airbnbs. Trust me, just take my word for it. If you get a 6-month or a 12-month lease at a nice place like the Persini Meracua, which is where I'm at in Manila, you'll get twice as much value at a fraction of the cost. And generally the only way you can do that most of the time, with some exceptions, is if you're able to provide the post-dated checks. And there's definitely some solutions to this outside of what we're talking about. But what I did in my particular case, my particular landlord has United States bank accounts. So all I have to do, because it's 2022, is click a button and then send my landlord the money through Zelle, and she immediately gets the money in about 1 second, and it's completely free and completely secure. And yeah, that's a dream, because when I was in Arizona, I rented out some rooms in my house and I had everyone send me the money directly through Zelle, and it was fast, efficient, clean, and free, and I loved it. One simple solution, and what I've been doing since my girlfriend is, of course, Filipina. She already has a local bank account, she already has a debit card, she already has her Gcash account verified, her PayMaya account verified, of course, because she is a citizen and she has access to all this stuff. So one thing she might be able to do, I'm not her husband, obviously, because we're not married, and I'm not family, so she might not be able to add me as an authorized user to her account. But one thing we could do is anytime I need to use that feature, having a checking account, we could just put both of our names on the leases or something and do post-dated checks that way if the landlord is not willing to basically allow us to pay in another way. So, but most importantly, just so you know, if you want total independence and you still want to have the most power in your ability to get stuff done and to be self-reliant, you can research third-party companies that are available here, and for a fee, they will directly assist you with getting a visa that can help you get a bank account. It's can be a little bit expensive, to the tune of 40,000 pesos per year, up to 100,000+ pesos for like 3 years to potentially get a visa that you would be eligible for. And again, you have to do your own research on Google and select a third-party company, and you can solve this problem. Is it a pain? Yes, it's a pain, but what you can do is just try to work with landlords that are okay with just accepting cash or accepting electronic forms of payment instead of post-dated checks. Because that is a little bit inconvenient for pretty much every foreigner who's coming here. If you're a landlord watching this and you own property in Manila, try to open up options for foreigners to be able to pay electronically or directly with cash, and make it easier for us to pay you, because it's hard for us to get checks as of right now. And if I find it, when I find a solution, I will pin it to the comments down below if I find a solution to this problem, because I'm talking about the problem and not the solution, which is not normally what I do. I usually talk about the problem for like a second and then get into the solution. So I'll do some fishing around and some research on this topic later and see what I can uncover, and hopefully find some definite, some straightforward, less costly options so that we're square on this topic, and so that we have the option to have those, we have the flexibility to have a bank account and also have the post-dated checks, and just give the landlords what they're looking for so that there's less friction. Okay guys, so in conclusion and in summary, I actually did some extra research real quick. So post-dated checks, there's actually a law that the president passed in 1975 that I don't know if it still applies, but I'll just say what it is and you can decide for yourself. It's actually like a federal crime if to have a check actually bounce, which is confusing and weird. But how is it actually enforced? I highly doubt it. But that's just my opinion, and I'm not a lawyer. And again, this is not advice, it's for entertainment value. So what I did in my situation to make it work, I don't ever do 12-month leases, okay? I signed a 6-month lease here at the Proscenium at Rockwell, and the owner who met with me got a very good vibe from me, and based off the way I was communicating, based off the way I was carrying myself, and this person most likely believed that I was a reliable human being who could be trusted, and that's probably why I was able to get a 6-month lease and I didn't have to do any post-dated checks. And so my advice is, if you really want an apartment and they refuse to budge on the post-dated checks thing and you can't provide post-dated checks, I would just make a separate, different offer, because what they're really after is security. So just maybe consider, because normally how it works is they want 2 months of a security deposit and then 2 months advance. That's pretty typical. That's what I did here. But what you could potentially do is be like, you know, I can give you 3 months security deposit, or I can pay for like, if it's a 6-month lease, you could just pay for the whole 6 months all at once. I would never personally pay for 12 months of rent up front. That's just insanity. And that's offering way too much protection to the landlord and no protection to me, because especially if you don't know the landlord very well, and like, what if something breaks and the landlord doesn't fix it or fixes it late, or you have a problem and that problem doesn't get addressed or get attention. And if you give all the money up front to the landlord, you're definitely not protecting yourself. The only leverage you have is by basically not paying rent if something doesn't get fixed. That's the only real leverage you have as a tenant to protect yourself. So both sides of it, that's kind of what I would do. So try to address the source of the problem, which is trust. The source of the problem is they don't trust you because they don't know you. That's why they want the post-dated checks for like 10 months or whatever, and like 2 months advance, 2 months security deposit, which is like a bucket load of cash just to get an apartment, I know. So work on the issue of trust. And is that a science or an art? It's kind of both. You just have to explain to the person who doesn't know you why you're trustworthy, lay out some proof, lay out some financials, act cool, calm, and collected. You probably get the best possible deal on an apartment, like I did. This stuff comes naturally to me because I've been working in marketing and sales and communication for like 12 years since I was a young adult. So when it comes to making deals, they kind of happen automatically for me. I'm just giving you my advice. I have friends, colleagues, associates where they have a lot more friction and a lot more inconvenience when it comes to stuff like this. And I'm sure It will happen to me as well, because it already does happen. We're in the Philippines, so it's going to happen sometimes where things don't get resolved right away when you're doing something. But in this case, my advice is to address the source of the problem, which is trust, and then find one of the like 12 different ways you can pay somebody: cash, check, okay, all of the payment apps, PayPal, Venmo. A lot of them are United States based payment apps, but there's a lot of payment apps here that work well and function properly, like PayMaya and GCash, etc. So work on your own customized solution, adjust the lease length, make the deal work for you, because you are in a position of power as a tenant or as a foreigner or as an expat. Reason being is the landlord, every month that they don't rent out their place, they're losing money, and the investment is not only not making them money, they're losing money. So they need you and you need them. So you guys can definitely meet in the middle and boil it down and not make it rocket science. But that's just my 2 cents. Try to address the source of the problem, which is trust. Lay out some common sense things like why you're trustworthy, and you know, how you present yourself. You know, look clean, look like you're a reliable person, speak with confidence. You know, you can show them your bank account statements. I think I did in my case. I actually just logged into my bank account on my phone and showed the landlord when I just you know. But yeah, say whatever you need to say as long as it's true, that will support your case to address the source of the problem, which is trust. And I think that's why post-dated checks are seen as a guaranteed form of payment here, because I didn't even know it was actually a law that if a check bounces, you know, you can basically have serious problems with fines or penalties or even get jail time. And that was written again in 1975, so I have no idea if it's enforced. But I just want to let you know why things are the way they are. So, cool.